Part 29. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 293. Thank you for hospitality. Yang Yu patted his belly comfortably. This must be the most delicious grilled fish he has ever eaten. The little dream demon spit out a fish bone and touched her belly. Sure enough, the grilled fish was very delicious. From now on, when Day, Salted Fish King and Little Bao eat fish, they must include Little Dream Demon. Carrying a small fish on your back and eating it secretly, yum yum yum. Yeah boom. Yeah. After Day and the owner of the grilled fish shop, Dai Hippo, hugged each other affectionately, they packed 3 grilled fish in thermal boxes and tinfoil. There are delicious things to eat, and of course we can't forget Salted Fish King and Little Bao. When we get to the meteor forest, let's go out to eat together. As for the third grilled fish, Dada wrapped it up vigorously, feeling the hot heat coming from the thermos box. This is for Teacher Lao Huidi. Does Teacher Lao Huidi still live in that wooden house? If you are there, you can have hot grilled fish. Yeah boom. The owner of the grilled fish shop, Dai Hema, waved towards Yang Yu and his party. Yeah. Thank you for hospitality. Day turned his hat on his side and said goodbye to the owner of the grilled fish shop, Dai Hippo. Then, move instantly. Compared with long-term journeys, teleportation is not suitable for frequent trips. From Zhongyang City to Meteor Forest, there is an above-ground light rail in the city. Yang Yu he stood blankly on the platform of the light rail station and waited. Is this really, King Slow? Is it that Slow King? You can't go wrong with a gold hat. Look, the last time I went to the daycare center as a volunteer, the hat on the badge was gold. Yes, it seems so. I still remember that in addition to Silly, there is also a Magikarp on the badge. On the light rail platform, several groups of people gathered together. From time to time they looked in the direction of Yang Yu, and most of them focused their eyes on Dudu. Hello, may I ask if this Slow King is your elf, sir? Yang Yu turned his head and was surprised to find a little girl holding her mother's hand. She seemed to be asking him timidly, her innocent eyes that did not disturb the dust, always resting on her dumb body. Yeah. Day lifted his hat in the direction of the little girl as his signature greeting. Mom, Mr. Day Wang greeted me. The little girl was as excited as a little swan. Then, when Day took off her hat to greet her, she stretched out her slender arms and made a dancing greeting. Although the weather is cold, the little girl's innocent smile and courtesy are like an elf in winter. Dudu is not an ordinary elf. Yang Yu seemed to hear some exchanges on the platform. If it was just King Day, maybe he was simply surprised to see Day, but Yang Yu also heard King Carp, King Slow, and King Magikarp. Maybe when Day was following Master Lin here, there were some stories about Day in Zhongyang City. Mr. Dude Wang, look. The little girl rummaged through her school bag and pulled out a round badge. Yang Yu tilted his head slightly, his eyes full of surprise. The posture on the badge, isn't this the same posture as when he was holding Magikarp in a daze in the aquarium? Yeah. He tilted his hat blankly and grinned innocently. Dada and Xian Growth Foundation. This was the first time Yang Yu saw such a badge. Isn't the dull king with the golden hat on the badge the same as Yang Yu's dull one? Using your mobile phone, click search. The Day and Xian Growth Foundation was established in Zhongxiang City. It has branches in Zhongyang City and Jianghan City. The main members are Day King, Dayapo, and Day Beast. Every month, Hippo chefs go to elf care centers around the country to bring a gourmet food tour to the care centers, which has won unanimous praise from the citizens. Dear passengers, the light rail heading to Meteor Forest has entered the station. Please be careful to bring your belongings with you to avoid leaving them on the platform. The sound of the light rail entering the station slowly brought Yang Yu's thoughts back to reality. Probably, this is stupidity. Well, Dede and Cien. Although Meteor Forest is far away from the city, there are still some young people on the light rail who choose to get off at the terminal station. Yang Yu could see that the elves summoned by several of the young people were not simple ones, such as giant pincer mantises, sea demon lions, and even an ice elf among them. Judging from the giant pincer mantis and this ice elf, these small teams of young trainers are likely to be elites from universities in Jiangdong province. Yang Yu was very well prepared for this training camp. Based on his experience in the Pearl Forest last time, this time he also added energy lamps that can emit heat so that it won't be too cold at night. Qin Minyuan, look, there is another person coming to Meteor Forest at this time. Isn't this just messing around? When did a man come to Meteor Forest? Dumbfounded, the trainer named Qin Minyuan in the team frowned. This is an elite student team from Jiangdong University in Zhangxiang City. There are 8 people in total. The team leader is Qin Minyuan, a senior student, and this ice elf is his elf. Lu Jianese, go and ask. Although he is not one of us, he still appeared in front of us. It was nothing in the summer, but today. Yoi. The ice elf ran back from the Meteor Forest and nodded to Qin Minyuan, the master of the team. Ice elves can use their light blue bodies to feel the cold weather outside. In the forest, they can even predict whether there will be heavy snow. The ice elf said that now that we are entering the Meteor Forest, there will be no bad winds and snow for the time being. We can take advantage of this time to conduct training in the forest, Qin Minyuan said loudly. This voice was very loud, even in the Yang Yu, who was not far away, could also hear it. Yang Yu was slightly startled, because in the group of people in front of him, someone walked towards his direction. Are you here alone? Lu Jianese in the team frowned and waved, looking at the equipment behind Yang Yu. It looked like he was alone. Captain, it looks like he came alone. Lu Jianese turned around and shouted to the people in the team. Hey, why would someone come to Meteor Forest in winter? It looks like that person is stupid. My eyes seem a little dull. That hair is so killer. The only 2 female trainers in the team started whispering, but when they saw the hair on Yang Yu's head actually floating, they were stunned. This is Dream Monster? Go home. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huo Chiang Shao. Chapter 294. Ghost Elf, Dream Demon. Qin Minyuan's eyes flickered as he looked at the elf floating above Yang Yu's head, and some thoughts quickly flashed through his mind. In the forest, ghost-type elves have a unique advantage, because most wild ghost-type elves live in the forest. They have a very good understanding of the forest environment, and are very alert to danger. More importantly, ghost elves can help trainers discover other ghost elves. Whether it is a ghost in the forest or a shadow doll, if there is the help of a ghost-type elf, then the trainer can more easily discover that although Qin Minyuan is now a senior elite team leader, he still does not have a ghost-type elf. Perhaps we can let him join the team and help out by the way. Qin Minyuan was calculating in his mind. Wow, what a cute dream elf. Aloof Lolita, so cool, so cool. The 2 female trainers in the team immediately changed their previous views on Yang Yu, especially the fact that the little dream monster in the sky could pout, which made them even more interesting. However, the little dream demon will not be fooled by such sweet words. It is not as good as the song Yang Yu hums, hum. The most disgusting thing is what they said before about killing Matt. Do you really think the little dream monster didn't hear it? If we were in the forest now, we would definitely scare them all into tears at night, humph. Yang Yu felt the dissatisfaction of the little guy floating in the sky, probably because of the sentence kill Matt. After all, the little dream demon is now an elf living in his hair, and he claims to be the cutest in the world. That kind of. If you are really alone, the weather right now is not suitable for traveling alone. I wonder if our team will be lucky enough to invite you, so that you can have an extra look after you. Dede was not with Yang Yu at this time. After getting off the light rail, Dede first said that he would go back into the forest to inquire about the situation and see if Lao Huidi was deep in the forest. The environment in the forest was not like that in the city. The road can be found, but the situation is complicated. And it's a relatively cold day now. If Dai Dai takes Yang Yu to teleport, he may not have enough superpowers to find the correct location. And Dai Dai will find helpers to pick up Yang Yu after drawing for a while. Yang Yu naturally agreed to Dede's arrangement. Thank you, but I won't interrupt your schedule. I'll continue to wait here. This time Yang Yu's training was not like the one in the Pearl Forest. It could be said that Dede was the best guide here. It was just that Dede temporarily entered the forest to explore the situation of the forest, so Yang Yu did not need to follow anyone else. Rather than being afraid of disturbing other people's schedules, it is better to say that he is worried that others will disturb his own arrangements. After all, if someone is yelling and crying around him during training, Yang Yu can't stand it. Training is training, and it has nothing to do with beating up a crying girl in an elf battle, really. Yang Yu knew this clearly and clearly. Qin Minyuan thought that Yang Yu was worried about their identities, so he quickly said, "We are elite students from Jiangdong University, and we are here to organize training. You don't have to worry about this, and seeing that your strength is not weak, we can train together." No, 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 no. Yang Yu shook his head repeatedly. Training together? Didn't he come here just to avoid training with others? Otherwise, why would he take the high-speed train all the way from Hangzhou and go directly to the meteor forest in Jiangdong province? He also wants to find a place closer. However, his strength does not allow him to do this. Leader, forget it, there's really no need to worry so much about other people's affairs, he can just love it by himself, Lu Jianese couldn't help but say. Leader Qin is really kind-hearted. Look, in this place, who else cares about the lonely people? Moreover, he is also a male trainer. If it is a girl, he can still consider it. Really not necessary, Qin Minyuan was a little pity. In his opinion, this was obviously a win-win situation. They took Yang Yu to train together, and Yang Yu could also improve a lot of strength. Then Yang Yu could use Dream Demon again. The advantages of ghost elves help them find wild ghost elves in the forest. How wonderful this is! However, Luo Hua deliberately, ba 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 ba. No need really. Thank you, Yang Yu smiled. He saw the ice elf tugging on the trousers of the leader in front of him, seeming to urge them to leave quickly. Wow, this dream monster can actually cry. So cute. The two girls in the team were filled with joy again. Ying monster, one punch from labor and capital will turn you into a screaming monster. One of the boys curled his lips in disdain, raised his fist, and rotated it to indicate. The little dream demon's eyes stood up again. The last time I said this. At that time, I was so frightened by it that I just ran away with my head in my arms, because with one punch, two monsters would appear. In that case, I wish you good luck. Qin Minyuan felt a little regretful, but soon he regained his mentality. Others are others, and he still has to take care of his own people. The little dream demon glared fiercely at the direction in which the 8 people in the group were leaving, especially looking at the back of someone who had just said, "One punch from labor and management is a monster. You can run fast. My little dream monster remembers you, don't let me meet you next time. If you see it again, I must let you experience the horror of the monster. Hey, fear is the best. Da-da. 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 Boom 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 boom." At this time, bursts of running sounds came from the meteor forest. On the outside of the forest, you could see the trees in the distance falling off leaves and flying dust. What's happening here? Is it the elves in the meteor forest riot? That's not right, even if the elves are rioting, they won't appear on the edge of the meteor forest. Attention, be careful. At this time, the trainers who were preparing to step into the meteor forest at the edge of the meteor forest all felt as if they were facing a formidable enemy. They took a few steps back with extreme caution and left in a direction away from the rushing sounds. What is that? A trace of hot sweat appeared on Qin Minyuan's forehead. In the more than 3 years since he studied at Jiangdong University, he has been to Meteor Forest no less than 10 times, but he has never encountered anyone like this. Condition. Leader, what is this? What is this sound? The only freshman in the team couldn't help but ask. It's like the Kentaro group. Qin Minyuan wasn't very sure, this situation was too weird. I have never heard of a Kentaro group appearing at the edge of the forest in all these years. But, Senior Qin Minyuan, didn't our teacher at Jiangdong University say in the introduction to Meteor Forest that under normal circumstances, at the edge of the forest, there won't be Kentaro groups, right? A girl's voice was shrill, even, not I wonder if it's because of the cold weather that I feel a little shaking. Yes, that's a general situation, Qin Minyuan nodded seriously. What about the unusual situation? How could I know? Qin Minyuan was simply depressed. When he came here before, the situation was normal. Why did he encounter an unusual situation today? Leader, look, what is that? Lu Jianese stared with big eyes in disbelief, pointing at the elf that was galloping around the edge of the forest. On the backs of the Kenteros. What is that pink elf? Why, and a golden hat? Make a cup of tea and continue. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 295. Wrestling with a bull, you will often taste the horns. When Dede entered the forest and brought back a group of Kenteros, not only the others, but also Yang Yu, everyone's minds were marked with 3 question marks about reaching the ducks. This is what other people are thinking. Qin Minyuan, what's on Kentero's back, isn't that King slow? What? The stupid king? Why is King slow on Kentero's back? Lu Jianese, these days, even though I'm riding a horse, I haven't even passed the elf riding license test on land, but now even the slow king can ride a Kentaro. Confused freshman, what did I see? Why is there a traitor among the Kentaro group? Can the pink Kentaro still sit on the back of a companion? Why does that pink elf look a bit like a dull boy? Hey, king. Excited girls, take photos, take photos, take photos. AC browser, shocked. A shocking secret appears in the Meteor Forest. The pink elf actually did this to Kentaro. However, what Yang Yu had in mind was this. I really want to ride Kentaro. Going to ride Kentaro. What kind of elf is Kentaro? He has a violent personality and likes to use his horns to fight forcefully. In short, he likes to fight. Although he seemed to be riding steadily behind Kentaro, but Yang Yu still shook his legs subconsciously. Feel a little scared. It's absolutely different from the flying of Gyarados. You can figure it out with your butt. When Kentaro is galloping, it might burst. Not to mention people like Yang Yu who have never even taken the test for a riding license. Although they don't need to take the test after becoming a senior trainer, but the 2 elves, Kentaro and Dujule, the former is like a tank, and the latter is more like a sports car. Should you get on a tank or a sports car? Yang Yu felt that he still had some B numbers in his heart. Grrrrrrrr. Dada waved in Yang Yu's direction. If you are a man, you should get on the tank. Bah, how dare you ride a damn Kentaro? Riding a little fire horse or riding a 9-tailed horse is what sissies do, a real man should ride a Kentaro. The face of the little dream demon is full of excitement. The most important traffic elf traveling in the forest is undoubtedly Kantaro. In the elf world, there is such an interesting saying. If you want to feel what it's like to ride on Kantaro, it's best to take a taxi in the Sichuan and Chongqing areas, because the taxi drivers in the Sichuan and Chongqing areas are very good at driving and taking off, and they are very stable. It's not good, it's floating and fast, just like flying an airplane. However, Yang Yu has never had that kind of experience. Oh my god, that person is not going to ride the Kantaro, is he? Lu Jianyi's eyes suddenly jumped, because the passerby invited by the team leader Qin Minyuan actually turned towards the Kantaro group. Go in the direction. What does he want to do? Is he familiar with Kantaro? Several team members who have never seen the world seem to be watching some fantasy, riding Kantaro in the forest. Is this a movie? So cool. The two girls in the team looked at each other and were amazed. This is not a movie, this is real. Yeah. Dede has already chosen a Kantaro that is easiest for Yang Yu to sit on and is the most stable when galloping. Kantaro has to run for a long time in the forest every day. He is completely trustworthy. Moo. Kantaro raised his hoof. Yang Yu swallowed his saliva and looked at the eyes of the group of Kantaros in front of him. The pressure in his heart was still a bit high. At this moment, Yang Yu inexplicably felt a kind of familiarity and kindness. Ahem, when Master Ji put him when a group of Kantaros teleported to Dr. Oak's laboratory. That's really. Seeing Yang Yu cowering, a Kantaro snorted behind him and motioned to the powerful horns on his head. Brother Kantaro, if you have something to say, please speak it carefully. I don't want to wrestle with a bull. Kantaro in front of Yang Yu turned sideways, and Yang Yu jumped up. The little dream demon floated in front of Yang Yu, and then stood on the back of the cow not far in front of Yang Yu. Kantaro, let's go. Moo. The Kantaro towers rang across the edge of the forest, giving the surrounding teams a great visual impact. Kantaro turned around, taking the dumbfounded and that person with him. Rush towards the forest. Is this person cheating? Lu Jianyi's felt completely unable to understand everything in front of him. It was almost like a dream, and the protagonist of the dream was not himself. Is there any reason for that slow king? Qin Minyuan was extremely shocked. He had completely misjudged the strength of that passerby. He came to the meteor forest alone. Was he really just a fool? I want to ride Kantaro too, a girl in the team said in a coquettish voice. Is there any problem with this, girl riding Kantaro? What is the problem? It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. It feels completely different from riding a dujula. The last time I rode a dujula in Zhongyang City, there was something like a saddle on the back of the dujula. But this time, it's completely on the back of the cow. Although Yang Yu could easily stabilize his body with the help of Data's superpower, he would still experience bumps when passing through certain places. Walking through the forest like this, Yang Yu felt like he was watching a movie. The rapidly changing woods, sky and ground in front of him, as well as the gradually shrinking field of vision, became somewhat narrower as he went deeper into the forest. The longer you stay in the forest, the more you feel the silence of the forest. Apart from the galloping sound of Kantaro, it is almost rare to see the chirping of other elves, and even the shadows are extremely rare. As he got used to being on Kantaro's back, Yang Yu focused more on his eyes. Does it feel like opening up a new map in the game? Meteor Forest is like a scene shrouded in mist. Yang Yu is on Kantaro's back, following in a daze, quickly experiencing ordinary scenes one after another. Like this, at the end, a scene often appears. Amazing realm, feel the uncanny craftsmanship of the elf world. Suddenly, a ray of light struck like a sharp sword, making Yang Yu unable to help but reach out to block it. Soon, more and more bright lights began to gather, like a shining beacon in the dark forest, leading the elves from all directions, or trainers. Yang Yu felt that the sound of Kentaro's hooves in his ears was much quieter, and more of a cry of moo dash. Yang Yu opened his eyes. The secret realm of elves in the Meteor Forest, Meteor Lake. Yeah. Yang Yu suddenly couldn't help but his left eyelid twitched. In front of him on the left, on a tree, there is a treehouse with a slight yellow light. Outside the treehouse. That is a Hudy. I have returned 8 soups and there are still 16 soups left. I feel like the author is great. Too strong. Pokemon's character master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 296. What a simple and exquisite tree house. When Yang Yu climbed up step by step through the wooden ladder next to the tree house, he couldn't help but admire the scene in the house. A yellowed oil lamp stood on the wooden table, with a weak flame burning in the wick, trembling faintly, as if it would go out accidentally. There were also several black and white photos hanging on the wall, but it was not difficult to see. The images in the photo are Lao Hudy and some other elves. The treehouse is filled with a historical atmosphere like an ancient house. Yeah. Dada walked in from the forest with a pile of dry firewood, bent down and placed it in a safe corner of the tree house, and then threw a few pieces into the Kong in the center of the tree house. Soon, the firewood above the tree house, the small chimney began to emit a faint smoke. The house gradually became warmer. Who did? The slightly serious look between Lao Hu's brows gradually faded away, but his gestures revealed an aging air, which made Yang Yu very frightened. This is the old Hu De next to Master Lin. Yang Yu vaguely remembers the calm demeanor of a super master when Lao Hu De used superpower moves when he was still in the aquarium. Yeah. Dada stepped forward and helped Lao Hudy pull out the stool, and carefully helped Lao Hudy sit down slowly. Soon, a pot of hot water boiled on the Kong, and a warm vapor filled the air. He poured a pot of tea into a wooden cup. As his strength grew and improved, the energy induction of the superpower system made Dai more and more aware that his teacher's powerful superpowers had gradually begun to dissipate. It was quiet in the tree house, and Yang Yu gradually realized that it seemed not a suitable place to talk, so he sat down quietly on the haystack nearby and listened to the breathing in the tree house. When the little dream demon saw Lao Hudy, it was like meeting an elder, sitting obediently on Yang Yu's hair. Who did? Lao Hu slowly picked up the wooden cup, sprinkled some tea leaves in it, and stirred the tea leaves with the once glorious spoon in his hand, plain and simple. After taking a shaky sip, Lao Hudy slowly put the wooden cup down, stretched out his rough hand, and gently stroked the back of his stunned head. For this extremely talented disciple, Lao Hudy only had deep satisfaction in his eyes, although he was a bit playful. It's okay to be playful. Playfulness is a child's nature. An interesting story from before seemed to appear in front of Lao Hudy's eyes. When training teleportation, I don't know how Dede met the Kentaro group, and they happened to come to Meteor Lake to take a rest. Dudu, who could not teleport at that time, sat on Kentaro's back and returned directly from the opposite edge of the Meteor Forest to the tree house. At that time, Lao Hudy was watching not far away, and he almost rolled his eyes. Now, Dede has grown up and is calmer than before. Then, Lao Hudy's eyes turned to Yang Yu and Little Dream Demon. Yang Yu sat upright with his hands in front of his knees. In front of Elder Hu De, he felt like he was back in kindergarten. Lao Hu remembered this person. In the elf world, anyone who can make an elf open his or her heart may be able to impress others by accident. Isn't he just as dumb? The first meeting with Xiaohong. It should have been in the forest at that time, right? That was a girl worth opening up to, but now, everyone is old. Lao Hu's cloudy eyes moved, and he waved kindly in the direction of the Little Dream Demon. The Little Dream Demon blinked her big eyes, licked her little fingers and pointed at herself. Me. Lao Hu smiled and nodded. Yang Yu stood up and walked over, thinking that Lao Hu was calling him. However, when the little dream demon floated into the palm of Lao Huidi's hand. Okay, nothing happens to Yang Yu. Well, Yang Yu understood now that Lao Hu was looking for the little dream demon, not him. However, Yang Yu wanted to say, in fact, you can also find me, I can also learn elf moves, humanoid self-propelled elf, the kind with plug-ins. After Lao Huidi's dry fingertips touched the little dream demon's head, his smile never stopped. In the meteor forest, watching the flowers blooming and falling outside the treehouse and the clouds rolling and relaxing every day, Lao Huidi's state of mind was like the meteor lake in front of him. So mysterious and peaceful, on the coming night, when a new moon rises, here is the secret realm of meteor forest. As for the ghost-type elves, Lao Hu has dealt with a lot, whether it is the snow witch in the snow-capped mountains, the chubby and light ones in the iceberg waters, or the Jengar and the dream demon that he had fought with before. Who did thought to himself, it's been a long time since he saw those old guys. An elf-like little dream demon should be a very young member of the ghost family, right? Perhaps the biggest feature of the ghost-type elf is its lifespan, which is beyond the reach of most elves. The little dream demon in front of you still has a long, long road ahead. There were no fluctuations in superpowers, but Lao Huidi still used his rich experience to determine that the little dream demon had mastered an amazing superpower move. This move made him miss it a little. Eat dreams. Lao Hu was stroking his spoon that was on the verge of breaking with his left hand, but it was a pity that he came a little late. He could not use some powerful superpower moves now. Otherwise, perhaps, he could be taught a trick to talk in sleep. At this time, the sky outside the treehouse gradually darkened, and a cloud of smoke began to condense over the meteor lake. Such a sky was a sign that heavy rain was about to begin. Today, I can't see the reflection of the moon in the mirror in the meteor lake. Although hazy, it has a bright light. Hooty. Lao Huidi stood up and slowly moved towards the outside of the tree house. Yang Yu turned sideways and made way for Lao Huidi. The little dream demon fiddled with Lao Huidi's big beard curiously. Instead of being angry, Lao Huidi was very happy with such closeness. It has been a long time since any young elves have played with his beard, even in the meteor forest. The young elves in the forest, perhaps under the strict instructions of the elders, are not allowed to disturb Lao Huidi. Recuperate. However, who can understand the loneliness in Lao Huidi's heart? He stood on the peak of the elven world, and at a glance, he saw the vast sea of change. He refused Xiahong's help and returned to the almost inaccessible treehouse deep in the meteor forest. This is his destination. It's time to get off work. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 297. Everyone, please hurry up. The weather in the forest is just like a girl's face. It changes at any time. Leader Qin seems to be a man with a story. Come on, leader, our Choo-Choo's face is not like what you said, and her face changes at every turn, right, Choo-Choo? Get out of here. Ha 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 ha. For the young trainers in the forest, the meteor forest has few shortcomings except for the changeable weather. Since there are two senior trainers in the team, Qin Minyuan and deputy team leader Jokan, safety issues are guaranteed. As long as they don't deliberately provoke existences like the Kentaro group, there will be no danger. Click. Rumble, rumble. Above the gradually darkening forest, a bright light suddenly appeared, which made the Kedong University group tremble inwardly. Do you see the hillside in front of us? We will camp there today, Qin Minyuan said loudly. Good. All members of the team are in harmony. On this hillside where a small patch of sky can be vaguely seen, the sky is already shrouded in dark clouds. The clouds flash like lightning brewing, emitting a dazzling light mixed with purple and blue. Swish swish swish. A cold rain came in the forest. The raindrops were like ice needles, falling straight into the meteor lake, making ripples one after another. On the treetop next to the lake, which still had a faint yellow light, the oil lamp in the treehouse was still on. Suddenly, a huge lightning struck in the sky. Stab! When the afterglow of lightning passed, there was one, oh no, two thick blue figures, just like the afterglow of lightning in the sky, making a roar that shook the sky. Roar! The eyes of the salted fish king were filled with excitement and skyrocketed. Lightning is the best dance partner in thunderstorms. Ho ho ho! Bao Bao was low in the sky and roared in confusion towards the salted fish king who was about to enter the cloud top. For him, lightning had the power of death, which made him fearful from the very core. Roar! The salted fish king didn't have any answer. His answer was the dance of the dragon that swept over him. The raindrops hitting him formed powerful fluctuations. Facing the lightning in the sky, his eyes emitted a strange light. Action is the best answer. Lightning, don't run. At this moment, whether it's the dull little Bao Bao in the sky, the little dream monster in the tree house, or that who exudes the aura of aging, there is a deep awe of Tianwei in his pupils. However, the salty fish king that was constantly fluttering in the sky was not afraid of the lightning from the zenith. He even had a strange idea. Xiadiandian, can it last a little longer? The salted fish king has been depressed for a long time. How long has it been since there was a thunderstorm? The salted fish king couldn't remember it either. In short, when I was irritable and experienced a burst of thunderstorm weather, I felt very good, that kind of refreshing feeling. Especially when tumbling in the clouds and dancing with lightning. Lightning is so naughty. Roar! The salted fish king in the sky once again danced the dance of the dragon. The endless dragon power and soaring speed were exerted on the entire body of the salted fish king, from the triangular blue dragon horns to the thick and powerful ones. The dragon's tail was like opening the shackles of the seal, allowing the salted fish king's speed to improve again. Little Bao Bao swallowed his saliva subconsciously. When he lowered his head and looked at the meteor lake below, he saw countless carp kings leaping up from the bottom of the lake. This made him thinking of myself. Do you still remember that dream? We are closer to the stars in the sky, but still not enough. Even in the most depressing moments, I still haven't forgotten the splashing water that can touch the stars of my dreams. Has it been forgotten because of evolution? The carp kings in the lake. Everyone is watching. Little Bao Bao suddenly closed his eyes, and then, a fierce gaze replaced the original deep fear, and towards the sky, he let out the strongest sound from Gyarados. Roar! Cluck K! Ka! Cluck K! More and more magi carp gathered in the meteor lake. Under the heavy rain of ice needles, they still used their own water splash to jump towards the sky. Not afraid of pain. Compared to pain, numbness is the most terrifying state. Huidi! Lao Huidi murmured to himself, and then slowly walked towards the tree house. Is he really old? Lao Huidi himself didn't know this problem. But at this moment, Lao Huidi's heart felt like the previously peaceful meteor lake. Deep in his heart, there were huge fluctuations as the king carp splashed down. The little dream demon looked at the back of Lao Huidi in confusion as he entered the depths of the tree house. Nobody knows. At the moment when Lao Huidi's whole body fell into darkness, he clenched his two spoons tightly. Somewhere in Meteor Forest, on a small hillside. Oh my God, look! What is that in the sky? Why do there seem to be elves flying under the lightning? Xiaozuoku's eyes suddenly flashed, and he squinted and suddenly discovered an incredible figure in the sky. Flying under lightning? How is it possible? No flying elf would dare to challenge the huge lightning in the sky at this time. Lu Jianese suddenly laughed. Xiaozuoku said loudly, really, look, wait for the next lightning to appear, and be sure to keep your eyes on the sky. Where is it? Where is it? It can't be that you are dazzled. Just when a group of people from Kedong University looked towards the sky that opened out from the treetops, the dark sky suddenly seemed like daytime. Under that white light, the bright blue body left a deep mark in everyone's eyes. That is Gyarados. Oh my god, Gyarados is not a water or flying elf. Once it is struck by lightning, how can it resist the damage caused? Shizuoka waved his fist fiercely. Let me tell you, look, there are really flying elves flying. Do you have any photos? Do you have any photos? Qin Minyuan just smiled at first, but when he saw the incredible scene in the elf world before his eyes, he remembered, why didn't he leave any photos? It's over, no. I thought Choo Choo was joking just now. When Shizuoka raised the professional travel camera in his hand, everyone's eyes gathered. Let me be healthy. Let me be healthy. Xiao Baobao was very panicked. He now wants to fly up and hand over the Salted Fish King's cauldron. But the Salted Fish King's cauldron flew too fast, didn't it? Little Bao Bao looked at the Salted Fish King chasing lightning in the sky, and couldn't help but fell into deep thought. Have a bite and continue. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Xiangxiao. Chapter 298. The Salted Fish King slowly floated down from the clouds. Judging from his expression, it seems that he still has more to say. Roar. The Salted Fish King burped comfortably and passed by Xiao Baobao. Gyarados looked at the dark clouds that were gradually disappearing in the sky, and then watched the Salted Fish King's cauldron floating, and followed behind him. Cow beer. Brother, drink beer. If Xianyu King was to give Xianyu King a satisfactory rating for this thunderstorm service, it would only be rated 3.5 stars at most. The lightning intensity was not strong enough and it did not last long. The weather in the forest is like this. After the thunderstorm, the dark clouds in the sky dissipate, leaving a clear night sky. That night, Yang Yu rested in Lao Hui's tree house. Dede is at the lake in Meteor Forest, together with Salty Fish King and Little Bao Bao. Meteor Lake is an excellent place for water elves to live. With Salted Fish King, Dede, and Xiao Bao Bao there, Yang Yu summoned Xiao Xiao out with great confidence. The spacious Meteor Lake gave Xiao Xiao a very broad field of vision. The dark night in the forest is the best veil for the little dream monster. Back in the forest. The wild nature in the little dream demon's heart was released, just like when the Salted Fish King and Little Bao Bao soared into the blue sky. What should I do? I really want to scare people. The little dream demon floated to the edge of Meteor Lake. Dada has fallen asleep on the Salty Fish King, and the little fish is also leaning on the Salty Fish King's beard, purring little bubbles. Little Bao Bao hasn't slept yet, he should still be thinking about Bao Bao. Why is the same Gyarados, brother the Salted Fish King so good? The little dream demon dangled in front of the Little Bao Bao. Little Bao Bao blinked. Little dream demon hooked his hand. Little Bao Bao, let's go scare people. Gyarados quickly put everything he was thinking behind his mind. The most important thing to him right now was what the little dream demon said. Scary. Ho ho ho. Little Gyarados carefully moved away from Meteor Lake. His sneaky appearance didn't look like the majestic Gyarados, but rather like a small insect crawling on the ground. Little Bao Bao doesn't care about that. For him, it is his honor for Little Dream Demon to take him to scare people. The Little Dream Demon stood on the head of Gyarados and set off towards a certain direction in the Meteor Forest. Xiao Bao Bao looked back and remembered the direction of Meteor Lake. Then he looked up at the sky. At this time, the clear sky already had several stars. He had been chasing the stars in his dream for so long. He could pass the stars long ago. To determine the direction, so as to avoid getting lost in the forest. Meteor Forest and the Scary Diary of Little Dream Demon, Day 1. It's actually not raining outside. The rain stopped so quickly. Isn't everyone sleeping? A group of 8 people from Kedong University were gathered outside the tent at this moment, with a little light shining in the center. I just saw such an incredible scene, I'm so excited. Jang Qian, a girl in the same tent as Siezioku, kept looking at the photos just taken. That's Gyarados, he's not afraid of lightning. Not afraid of wind and rain, not afraid of thunder and lightning. This is a role model for us trainers and an example for us elves to learn from. It's almost time. Let's all have a good sleep. I'll let my Xiaobing stay on guard outside all night. I'll wake up later tomorrow and have enough energy to continue moving forward, Qin Minyuan said loudly. Good night everyone, good night everyone. Deputy Team Leader Jokun has zipped up the tent, turned off the lights, and is ready to rest. The 4 tents turned off the lights one after another. In the middle of the 4 tents, there was a small tent prepared for the Ice Elves. Not only could it be used for warning, but the Ice Elves could also rest in it. Yoet! The Ice Elf raised its head, and it seemed to faintly see something moving not far away in the forest. Swish swish! The body of the Ice Elf can clearly feel the changes in the surrounding temperature. If any elf comes to this place, there will definitely be some heat emitting from the body, and this heat is the standard for the Ice Elf to be alert. Only. Is it an illusion? The little dream demon floated into one of the tents with a smile on his face. In the dark forest, the faint light is really a good thing. Huh, that little elf outside actually wants to find me, the Dream Demon King. As long as Little Bolt wags its tail, the movement in the forest is enough to attract the attention of this vigilant elf, not to mention. Ying ying ying. The Little Dream Demon is a ghost-type elf that can pass directly into the tent. Wagging the tail is so useful. The Little Dream Demon secretly gave her master a thumbs up in her heart, and then secretly placed it close to the edge of the tent. The Little Dream Demon grinned and raised a coquettish smile, looking first, whose it was. Where is the dream? Siezioku's dream. This one is actually one of our own. The Little Dream Demon blinked, and the original arc of his mouth, slowly turned into an O shape. It was hiding secretly in the woods. It originally wanted to scare people, but when it opened its eyes, it discovered that it could actually see little Bao Bao in other people's dreams. Look, 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 there are little elves appearing as shadows in the sky under the lightning and thunder. If not Xiao Bao Bao, what is it? What a handsome Gyarados. Oh my god, ah, so awesome, so awesome. If only I could have an elf like this. Are you dreaming? I want to eat shit. Little Bao Bao is a big deal. This little dream monster uses the elf ball to catch the elf, The little dream demon blinked and realized. It seems like this woman is really dreaming. The little dream demon immediately floated into the sky of Siezioku's dream and waved to the little dream demon in the dream. Ho ho ho! How did you come? The little dream demon hooked its hand, and it wanted to take little Bao Bao to declare its sovereignty in the dream. Roar! When Siezioku in the dream looked at the Gyarados flying towards her, his eyes were filled with little stars. Is it because her sincerity moved God? She actually let Gyarados hear her heart. Oh my god, it's coming! Siezioku cried with joy. When she saw the fierce face of Gyarados appearing in front of her eyes, she couldn't be too happy. Hey, Gyarados actually has a dream demon? This is too cute. The little dream demon is already confused. What about the one who promised to be scared and cry in his dream? Why do I feel that this dream is so weird? Slipping away, slipping away. Can't afford to offend. Dream demon, don't run. Little dream demon? Good night fellow trainers, have a sweet dream. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Renhuo Xiangxiao. Chapter 299. It's just a dream, what a pity. Xiaoku sighed from the tent. Why, what did you dream about yesterday? Zhang Qian on the side rubbed her eyes and yawned. I dreamed of a Gyarados, and a dream demon. Xiaoku grinned. Ah, it's the Gyarados that was photographed yesterday. Wow, nice. It would be nice if it was realistic. When Salty Fish King and Dede woke up, little Bayo Bayo was still curled up beside him, looking like he was sleeping soundly. The chimney on the treehouse began to emit white smoke. Yang Yuzheng is cooking sesame oatmeal paste, which has a sweet and sticky taste. Drinking a bowl of it on a winter morning can keep you warm all morning. Yeah. Dede came back from outside the tree house, still holding some fruits in his arms. It was so cold outside, and he didn't know where he brought them back from. However, behind Dede, there seemed to be an elf, holding the dumb thighs seemed to be trembling. Hute, Lao Hudi also had some doubts in his expression, so he asked. The current meteor forest is not the meteor forest in summer and autumn. The fruits on the trees have withered long ago. Yeah. Yeah. He glanced blankly at the little guy next to him, then gestured and pushed. Soon, a big head poked out from behind the stupid feet. Natural bird. Yang Yu was slightly surprised. The face of the elf appeared in front of Yang Yu and Lao Hudi. This is an elf similar to a sparrow. Its body only has a big head. If you look at it from a distance, it looks a bit like the little bird in the pixel-style game Flippy Bird. Moreover, an elf like a sparrow can jump by itself. Jumping very high, you can even reach the treetops with one leap. Feeling the unique warmth in the room, the little natural bird shivered with its trembling little wings, and then suddenly jumped under its feet. Boom! The little natural bird used its jump to hit the roof of the tree house, causing huge damage to its head. The little natural bird has lost its fighting ability. Dede quickly put down the fruit, then picked up the little natural bird from the ground and stroked its head with his warm hands. Chirp, the little natural bird called weakly twice. Huh, Lao Hudi shook his head helplessly, his eyes flickered for a while, and then he slowly stood up. Lao Hu handed the spoon in his right hand to Dede. Yeah. Dede shook his head repeatedly, indicating that he did not want to accept it. Huti. Lao Hudi raised his eyebrows, as if he was very angry. Alu. He lowered his head blankly. Who did? Lao Hu patted Dede's shoulder and solemnly handed the spoon in his right hand to Dede, as if he had completed an important handover ceremony. Hudi is a superpower. Dudu, both have superpowers. Natural birds are also superpowers. This little natural bird that can't control the height of its jump is obviously like a child who is learning to speak. In addition to his parents, he needs a super senior to guide him. Lao Hudi will no longer continue to teach other superpowered elves, but Dede has slowly grown up. This invisible burden in the meteor forest should be slowly handed over to the next generation. Chirp. The natural bird gently pecked Dede's arm in Dede's arms, leaving a unique mark of the natural bird on it. Dada is its super mentor. The scene in front of him made Yang Yu forget about the oatmeal paste that was still cooking in the pot. He vaguely remembered in his mind that an elf like Hude would never give the spoon in his hand to anyone except the one he trusted the most. Yang Yu looked at the little natural bird jumping around Dede, and the little guy jumping on Dede's crown from time to time, and he had a vague suspicion in his heart. Perhaps, this is the unique inheritance among super elves? After handing over the super spoon, Lao Hudi sniffed with his nose, then took out a larger wooden spoon from the table, slowly went to the pot of sesame oatmeal paste, and used the wooden spoon to bit by bit start stirring. This is a respectable old man. Hwitty, there was a hint of relief between Lao Hudi's brows as he stirred the sticky and sweet oatmeal paste. Then, he dipped a little of it into his wooden chopsticks and pursed his lips. He no longer looked like a super elf, but more like an old man who lives after retirement. Da-da-da. What are you still doing? Do you still want me, an old man, to pack breakfast for you. Lao Huidi took a wooden spoon and knocked it in front of Yang Yu, knocking Yang Yu's soul back. Seeing Lao Huidi blowing his nose and glaring, Yang Yu felt a warmth in his heart for some reason. Lao Huidi looked like after he had relieved himself of his responsibilities and laid down his heavy burden. Even a little cute. Coming, coming, coming. Yang Yu quickly took out a set of thermos bowls from his backpack, but what Lao Huidi prepared for himself was a wooden bowl. When Yang Yu helped Lao Hu install it, he could vaguely see a protruding word yellow carved on the edge of the wooden bowl. However, Yang Yu didn't know that on the other side of the word yellow, that is, on the edge of the side facing Lao Huidi, there was another word. Rainbow. Lin Xiahong's rainbow. The teacher who was looking at him blankly seemed to be more cheerful than before, and his mood was much better. He patted the head of the little natural bird that was dancing next to him. He picked up the fruit in his hand, and then used a wooden plane to peel off the skin of the fruit bit by bit. Then, he smashed the fruit with a wooden mallet and pounded the fruit into juice. This is the bundle brought by the parents of the little natural bird. The best tree fruit in winter soon slowly entered the stomachs of everyone in the tree house together with the warm sesame oatmeal paste. In the meteor forest, there is no moo milk, but the little dream monster can still find the morning dew. What's more, after being washed by the rain, the droplets of crystal water on the leaves in the forest are, to the little dream monster, also an excellent drink. Little Bayo Bayo wanted to follow Little Dream Demon to get the dewdrops among the leaves, but he was soon coaxed by Little Dream Demon and was slapped back to Meteor Lake. Although Xiao Bao Bao is much smaller than the Salted Fish King, he is still a giant elf in the forest. With such a big body, he has to crawl into the woods. Can we still collect fresh dew? Ho ho ho. Little Bayo Bayo lowered his head in a grieved manner, and began to think about Bao Bao's birth in the Meteor Lake. The winter sun has slowly risen. At this time, in the Meteor Lake, the Carp Kings gradually woke up and began to gather around the Salty Fish King and Little Bayo Bayo. The water splashed and jumped. The Salted Fish King raised his huge head. He has a bold idea. Go home, go home. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 300. Roar. There was a thunderous sound out of thin air. Is this a sign that the forest god is angry? The god of the forest, he doesn't care about this here. There must be a powerful elf awakening in the forest. It's probably just a yawn. So that's it? If you follow this small river towards the source, you can see the Meteor Lake in the deepest part of the Meteor Forest. If we have to walk, we will have to walk for at least a whole day. I don't know for sure. The rain yesterday made the ground in the forest not very easy to walk on. There are still many teams of trainers in the Meteor Forest. In the relatively deep area, in this 4-person team, there is a foreigner who looks young and carries a school bag. He is an international student. Lu, what do you think the powerful elf will be when it wakes up? Listening to the roar just now, I think it's probably a dragon-type elf. Dragon-type, the foreign student's heart skipped a beat. That must be an elf that has lived in the Meteor Forest for a long time. It must be very powerful. Yes, if we are lucky, maybe before night falls today, we may still be able to see its phantom. Everyone, shake off the rainwater on the tents, pack your things, don't leave garbage here, and get ready to go. The Kadong University group summoned elves that were suitable for walking or flying in the forest, and they were scouting and alerting the surroundings. Bibanayo, go and see if there is a suitable venue for our training ahead. Hold head high. Bibi Bird raised its voice in the forest, and then disappeared from the canopy of the Meteor Forest. Gyarados, I wonder if it lives in this Meteor Forest. It must be the king elf in the forest. Xiezioku couldn't help but guess. Ho ho ho. At this time, little Bao Bao is like a well-behaved monitor of Salty Fish King's Happy Growth class, and is accepting tasks issued by his class teacher, Salty Fish King. Cluck K. Cluck, K. Ka. Roar. The salted fish king coughed lightly, his tall body glaring at the carp kings around him. Everyone, be quiet, be quiet. The carp kings immediately stopped splashing in the water, just like the new little ones who had just signed up for Salty Fish King's Happy Growth class. In addition to being well behaved, they were still well behaved, not to mention that there was also a class leader next to the class teacher, Salty Fish King. Bao Bao is staring. The Salted Fish King looked at so many carp kings around him and couldn't help but fell into deep thought. A scene slowly emerged in his mind, a scene he had encountered during military training with his master Yang Yu. First, be orderly. In other words, queue up. What a mess, this is Meteor Lake, not a vegetable market. Magi carp should look like Magi carp. Queue. What is the queue? Little Bao Bao's mind was filled with questions. Although he couldn't understand what the Salty Fish King class teacher said, and he didn't know what queuing was, but now that his elder brother had said it, he felt a sense of superiority. As an excellent monitor of Salted Fish King's Happy Growth class, Xiao Bao Bao said that even if he doesn't understand, he should pretend to understand. When the leader speaks, he should learn to applaud. What if there are no palms? Ho ho ho. Of course, just shout 666. The carp kings in the Meteor Lake look at me and I look at you. They are still surrounded by confused faces. How do they know what queuing is? Roar. The Salted Fish King coughed seriously, then flicked his tail coolly and tapped the carp kings in front of him. You, and you, stand here, wait here, don't move. As a Salted Fish King who has experienced military training, he is very familiar with that routine. Apart from anything else, this formation alone is the top priority. You see, at the end of the military training, they have to be reviewed by the leaders. The elves line up. How neat is it? Now, there are all Magi carp here, which should be more tidy than the wide variety of elves back then. Oh, this is what the queue looks like. Little Bao Bao was excitedly preparing to go down and take command, but the Salted Fish King would soon have a new mission. Roar. You, lie down straight here. Little Bao Bao blinked, obviously with his knowledge and intelligence, he still couldn't understand why he stretched himself out on the water and lay up straight, but he quickly followed the Salted Fish King's instructions. Little Bao Bao was like a benchmark. He lay down on the surface of Meteor Lake, his whole body like a straightened tape measure, as straight as he wanted. Roar. Salted Fish King's class teacher took over the instructor's work. Instructor Salted Fish King directed the rows of numbered carp kings to line up next to Little Bao Bao, using Little Bao Bao as the benchmark. Kalu kalu kalu. Cluck, K. This time, the Magi carp kings knew better and lined up in line, and they had to line up neatly. The carp kings don't think so much about why, because above them, there is a real king. Whatever the king says, that's what they do. They just need to obey the orders obediently. The Salted Fish King looked at the team that looked like a big square in front of him, nodded with satisfaction, and then his eyes flickered slightly. Hey, why are there two little guys left behind? Ho ho. Little brother, why are you so fat? The two carp kings, who had not been assigned to the square team for a long time, were trembling. They looked at the inexplicably neat team in front of them, and they felt very scared for some reason. So many pairs of eyes looked over at the same time. Ho ho ho. The Salted Fish King understood clearly, and when he looked at the two carp kings who had fallen behind, he began to worry about it. Roar. Come here. The tip of the Salted Fish King's tail landed directly in front of the carp king's formation. This is where you should stand. Cluck, K. Cluck, K. Under hundreds of pairs of eyes, the two carp kings swam forward quickly and stood obediently at the front, with endless excitement in their hearts. This is the place to lead. Wang actually gave us the leading position, so why not fight hard? The two carp kings that were originally lagging behind swore at the back of the salted fish king. Follow my king. The salted fish king turned his back to the carp king's phalanx, looking far into the distance. The carp king phalanx behind them all fell silent, and all turned their attention to where the king was looking. Xiao Baobao looked serious, there must be something big coming next. Instructor Xian Yuwang seemed to have a solemn expression, but in fact he was quite panicked. What should we do after the team is organized? Time to start rushing? No, no, it always feels like something is missing. Is it a slogan? Suddenly, Salted Fish King's eyes lit up. He thought about it. Under the winter sun, the body of the Salted Fish King is so tall and bright. In the eyes of the Carp Kings below, the sun behind you is like a king of glory. Every square team should have a war song for every square team. Everyone, listen to me singing first. Here we go, brother. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 301. It was still quiet in the treehouse. What the little natural bird needs now is not superpower training, but the current balance control of the body. Obviously, this little natural bird could accidentally jump to the roof of the treehouse and cause huge damage to its own head. Since Dede has taken over the task of teaching the little natural bird, he must help the little natural bird overcome this difficulty. Yang Yu was taking notes in the treehouse. Regarding the learning plan for the electromagnetic wave move, Yang Yu decided to teach it to Dede first. Dede's learning ability was undoubted, and then he would trouble Dede to take the Salted Fish King and Little Dream Demon with him. Use the remaining two electromagnetic wave move learning machines. The plan is quite good, but sometimes changes also come quickly. Roar. Kalu kalu kalu. Suddenly, outside the tree house, there seemed to be a burst of howling ghosts and wolves. Yang Yu couldn't help but cover his ears, causing goosebumps all over his body. The little natural bird that was still standing quietly with Diane suddenly jumped up as if it was frightened. Boom! The treehouse was hit by a headbutt from a small grazing bird. The little natural bird has lost its fighting ability. Whitty. Lao Hu looked outside the treehouse in confusion, put down the hot tea in his hand, and walked out slowly. The little dream demon quickly floated out, and after seeing the astonishing scene in the meteor lake, he couldn't help but sneak away in the direction of the little Baobao and the Salted Fish King. Yeah. Dada once again picked up the dizzy little natural bird from the ground, and followed Yang Yu outside the tree house. Oh my god! Yang Yu couldn't help but take a breath of cold air, covered his ears with both hands, and looked at the scene in the meteor lake with great surprise. Why do those magi carp look so neat? Lao Huidi stood with his hands behind his hands, his turbid pupils exuding an astonishing gaze, his mouth murmuring, looking at everything happening in the lake in front of him. He felt incredible in his heart. This is... Are you training King Carp in the military? Lao Hu has been walking around for most of his life. He has met generations of Hangzhou University students in the Elf Hangzhou University. He also followed Xiao Hong and watched military training parades again and again. The scene in front of me. But it is extremely familiar. Counting it carefully, it seems. No one has ever done that, right? There have never been elves. How could he have such an incredible idea? Lao Hu looked at the Salted Fish King who was leading the song under the sun, and his beard couldn't help but tremble slightly. He felt that he might have witnessed the birth of an incredible team of Carp King. Yang Yu was stunned. If he didn't know what the Salted Fish King was doing at this time, then his reaction was too slow. The Carp King group looked square, and they were shouting neatly kalu kalu, plus the Salty Fish King was leading the singing in front. I'm so confused. Why did the Salted Fish King transfer the instructor's tactics from the military training? First, the whole team, and then sing a song as a group. If nothing else, let's build up the momentum first. Look, look, now there is a neat and uniform formation of king carp in front of you. It's eye-catching, it's enough to make you blind. 24K titanium alloy dog eyes. Yeah. Dede stroked the little natural bird's head while looking at the Salted Fish King with certainty. Salted Fish King also began to establish. It's your own kingdom. Roar. Everyone sing with me. The little carp looks so cool. Jumping around and rolling all over in mud. For the carp kings in the Meteor Lake, this was the first time they heard such a song. They suddenly discovered that in addition to the king's voice, this song seemed to have another voice. If the voice of the Salted Fish King is like the thunder in the sky, which is enough to shake the lake waters and the meteor forest, then the voice of the little fish is like the gentle breeze and drizzle. Although the sound is very light, it is enough to penetrate the hearts of the carp kings. Ka. The two magi carp at the front of the team immediately caught up with the beat. Although they were not familiar with the lyrics yet, they could splash and jump with water, keeping up with the melody and clapping on the accented drum beat. Cluck K. Cluck K. The Salted Fish King held his head high and nodded with satisfaction in the sky. Although the singing talents of these carp kings were not as good as his, but you can learn this slowly. As long as you put your mind to it, you can learn anything. The Salted Fish King slowly bent down, approached the water, stared at the little fish, glanced at the little fish, and praised the song it just sang. Huja huji. The little fish jumped excitedly on the water. With all the carp kings stunned, they jumped into the mouth of the Salted Fish King. Cough cough cough. The Salted Fish King used his beard to pull out the little fish from his mouth. Ho ho ho. All available. The Carp King group slowly came to their senses from being stunned, and stood up seriously one by one, accepting the king's next instruction. Xianyu King glanced in the direction of Lao Hu Di, Yang Yu, and Dadu, who were walking slowly by the lake. His eyes immediately became serious, and he gave instructions to the Carp King's formation below. Look to the right. Salute. The Magi Carp Kings instantly returned to their stunned expressions. King, which side is on the right? Fortunately, King Xianyu, who seemed to sense the group's confusion, pointed in the direction of Yang Yu with his beard. Oh. It turns out that's over there on the right? How to salute? Suddenly, the two leaders, Magi Carp, seemed to have discovered some secret. They immediately waved their left beards towards the crowns on their heads. Salute. Omega asterisk. Magi Carp, who didn't know what was going on, looked at the leader one by one. Oh, that's it, raise your left beard and salute. The Salted Fish King didn't know why he suddenly felt the corner of his mouth twitching. He wanted to say, I'm raising the beard on the right side. What are you doing holding up your left beard? There is no distinction between left and right. It seems that there is really no distinction between left and right. What does it feel like to be looked at by a group of Magi Carp with extremely serious and dull eyes, and at the same time, a beard that seems to be doing a salute to them? Yang Yu felt inexplicably as if he was about to turn into a sluggish Carp King. This is like Hong Kong holding his head and saying huh, from time to time after being looked at by Kodakya for a long time. This is simply a rhythm that needs to be assimilated. But I don't know why it still makes me feel a little bit emotional. Could it be? Am I the man who wants to become the Salted Fish King? Or the King of Salted Fish? Yang Yu began to make up a picture in his mind. He was sitting on the back of the Salted Fish King, with a group of Carp Kings behind him. What? What does weekends mean? Trainers, do you understand what I mean? Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huo Chiang Shao. Chapter 302. Xiao Baobao was filled with admiration for the salted fish king. Sure enough, the king is the king. Big Brother is just different. His vision and consciousness are not as high as usual. He was learning and watching at the same time, and he was even more surprised. After going through the training of forming a team, singing team songs, saluting, etc., the Magi-Carp in front of them are not as chaotic as before, like a pile of scattered sand. Now, the Magi-Carp team looks very impressive. While thinking this, Xiao Baobao thought of his companions who lived in the pool at Elf Jiaotong University. It would be great if one day he could take the big guys with him and train the Carp King companions like the boss of the Salted Fish King. Let the water splash full of meaning and hope. It's no longer boring to jump out of the water and then fall into the water. So, let's start by learning to sing. Ho ho ho. The little dream demon floated, and came to the head of little Bao Bao. Study hard, improve every day. As an auditor, the little dream demon opened her big eyes and saw everything in the meteor lake below her eyes. The depths of her crystal clear eyes. Also shining, a kind of ambition light. Hey, the dream demon king also wants to have such a formation. Even if the little dream demon masters the shadow clones, no matter how many shadow clones there are, they can't compare to a group of real dream demons. If there were a real army of dream monsters. My mouth is watering. The group of little dream monsters at home in Pearl Forest are not enough. Their number is far inferior to the number of Magi-Carp in the lake now. After all, there are too many Magi-Carp in the lake. Little Bao Bao raised his head and glanced at the sky. It always feels like water drops are falling. Is it going to rain? Blink, blink. The sun seems to be quite big. The little dream demon lowered his head and glanced at the saliva on little Bao Bao's head, and quickly stamped it with his foot, covering the criminal evidence, and glanced towards the lake with his big eyes as if nothing had happened. Nothing happened just now? If the Pearl Forest is not enough. The little dream demon still has the fantasy of an army of dream demons in his mind, so what if there is another forest? Just like the meteor forest in front of you. Tick-tock. It is going to rain? The little dream demon looked up at the sky blankly, and suddenly realized that his own saliva was dripping on the little feet he had just stepped out. Roar. The Carp King squadron, who had taken a break midway, heard the assembly order from the Salty Fish King instructor and immediately jumped back to their original positions with a cluck-cluck sound. Little Bao Bao, give you a look. The Salted Fish King gestured. Little Bao Bao lay down on the lake surface with ease. As a straight benchmark, it can shine and heat anywhere. Little Bao Bao has already found his position. Cluck, K. One by one, the Magi-Carp kings began to look to the right. The two Magi-Carp leaders slowly stood up at the front, motionless. Roar. The Salted Fish King looked at the neat formation of the Carp King and nodded appreciatively. Next, he had something to show in front of the Carp King. Everyone was silent. When the Salty Fish King's huge body, nearly 10 meters long, was all displayed in front of the Carp Kings, under the high sun, it looked heroic, with bright blue scales showing the majestic thickness of the body and the unique and muscular figure. Beauty. Little Bao Bao looked at the heroic appearance of the Salty Fish King boss, and the envy in his eyes was that he was also a Gyarados. The boss of Salted Fish King is extremely thick and long. Little Bao Bao feels like a younger brother. Just when the incomparably majestic figure of the Salted Fish King was left in the eyes of all the Carp Kings, they felt a surge coming from their hearts. At the edge of the lake, a huge wall of waves slowly rose out of thin air. CLU. Cluck, K. What kind of mysterious power is this that can control the entire body of water, making Meteor Lake the starting point of surfing? Little Bao Bao held his breath. Looking at the oncoming and menacing giant wave, I don't know why, but there is an urge in my whole body to fight against the waves. Roar. Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Go to the waves. Is this the power of the king? The King Carp team felt intimately that the shouts coming from the waves were like, they should not splash and jump on the calm lake in this life, their real home field. It should be above the huge waves. Cluck, K. One by one, the Magi Carp splashed excitedly towards the top of the huge wave, but they did not forget the original formation, because they always remembered. A Magi Carp, very weak. A loose group of Magi Carp, also weak. But when a group of sloppy Magi Carp twist into a rope, cluck, K. Nothing can stop them from splashing. Huja huji. The little fish jumped and called beside the salted fish king. That pair of eyes that have gained a lot of color have replaced the dull appearance before, and their eyes are full of expectation. It's going to go up too. The salted fish king nodded solemnly, leaned down, and lowered his head, picked up the body of the little fish with his two long beards, and then quickly placed it at the front of the Carp King's formation. There is the top of the wave. Xiao Bao Bao's heart was surging. Looking at the huge waves that were getting higher and higher, there seemed to be an endless energy all over his body, a motivation from the bottom of his heart, driving. The urge that makes him rush forward. The little dream demon was already jumping excitedly on little Bao Bao's head. It's coming, it's coming. Yeah. Dada held the little natural bird and looked in the direction of the teacher. There was a hint of bright light in Lao Hudi's cloudy pupils, and there was already a kind of surprise on his calm face. This trace of surprise in his heart. Just like the meteor lake at this moment, it looks like a stormy wave. Perhaps. Lao Hu stretched out his left hand. This spoonful of cracks. Hute. Lao Hudi murmured in his mouth, like a call or a question, and then, Lao Hudi's eyes began to exude some long-lost superpower. Is it a cathartic release of superpower energy? Roar. Everyone is here, come with me. When the huge waves in Meteor Lake gathered at their highest point, the eyes of the salted fish king burst out with fiery and intense light. It's now. A dragon dance swept through his whole body, and he swam at the forefront of the huge wave before it hit. Cluck, K. Cluck, K. On top of the huge waves, a group of carp kings formed a formation, each with their eyes wide open, looking at the scenery they had never seen before from a high place. Ho ho ho. Little dream demon stood on little Bao Bao's head, accelerating, accelerating, accelerating. Huji. In the eyes of the little fish, only the one swimming at the front, the bright blue giant beast. Go, go, go. Please vote.